Okay, we're gonna get started. I'm just gonna introduce it, then the announcements will come on. Okay, so transformations. So it's the same thing as we did in chapter 1. Okay, so we're looking at our A value, our K value, our D and C. Okay, so nothing has changed just because we have a different function. Everything stays the same. So your A value, vertical stretch or compress. Okay, it also tells you if it's reflected over the x-axis. Okay, K value, horizontal stretch or compress, and tells you if it flips or reflects over the y-axis. Okay, so just a reminder that the A value, if it's greater than 1, it's your stretch. If it is between 0 and 1, it is a compression. Okay, if it is negative, then it reflects over the x-axis. K value is opposite. Okay, so if it is between 0 and 1, it's a horizontal stretch. If it's greater than 1, it's a horizontal compression. Okay, but the negative is still the same. If it's a negative value, then it reflects over the y-axis. Okay, then we have our D and C. Our D tells us the shift left or right. Make sure that when you take it out of the bracket, it is the opposite, because we have a negative in the equation. So when you enter a positive number, it becomes negative. So even though it's shifting, say, to the right, it's a positive value, but inside the bracket, it is negative. And then we have our C value, and it tells us if it shifts up or down. Positive C is up, negative C is downwards. Okay, so there's just a couple of functions that we looked at. Okay, it should have said quadratic function, okay, which creates the shape of a parabola. So the A is on the outside, then we have our K within the function, same with our D and C. Should also note that your K and D, these two affect your X values. So they're in the bracket, they affect the X values, whereas your A and C affect the Y values. Okay, that's why the mapping notation, we have X over K plus D and AY plus C. So the K and D affect our X values, and our A and C affect our Y values. Okay, because this C goes up and down, so that's our Y axis. Okay, our A value reflects over the X axis, but it changes your Y values. Okay, K moves horizontal stretch or compress horizontally, so that changes your X values, and same with the D, left or right changes your X values. Okay, we had a square root function. Again, same. Your K and D are within the function, and your A and C are outside of the function. And now we have exponential. Okay, so your A value will be in front of the function. So this B is called our base. Okay, the B is the base here. Okay, the base is always given. So our base here is a half. Okay, so that's our B value, which is the base. Everything else is the same. So your A is in front, your K and D will be in the exponent. So our K and D are within the exponent. So that affects your X values. If it's not in the exponent, then it's your A and C, okay, which affects your Y values. Any questions there, guys? Questions? Okay, so B is your base. It's almost always given.
Good morning, Wolfpack. Today is Wednesday, March the 10th.